So fuck yes. Welcome to After the Hype. With me, your host, always Brian Dressman. As always, is Jonathan Harsey.
Hi.
Emily Blake.
Hi.
And Chewie Darso.
I made
it. You did make it.
Yay. I get here a little bit earlier each time.
Yeah, sooner or later, you're going to show up at the same time. There's going to be no point for me to ride down here with John. And
we're gonna miss that bro talk.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys ride down here together?
Yeah.
That's really cute.
Yeah, it's adorable is what it is. We
Yeah.
hold hands.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, we sing show tunes. It's pretty great.
Makes driving difficult, I will admit.
It's not as adorable as Corin aggressively trying to eat his feet in our bed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, is
gone.
Corin trying to drive?
No.
That's also
He's
difficult.
done it once. He's a good driver. So special guest this week, we have Traci Ennes back.
Yay!
From way back when, Snowpiercer. Let's do a quick where have you been doing? I can go first. I'm going to go with Arrow. I watched Arrow. I watched all of Arrow. I'm up to date in Arrow. It is so much better than the last few seasons of Arrow have been. It's kind of mind-boggling. It's still not like season 2 quality, like back when like, oh, we know what we're doing. This is great. It's more like season 3 where it's like, uh-oh. But now that we've been like down the road where it was horrible, it's like, oh, okay, actually isn't that bad. This is quite entertaining.
Ollie
compared.
saved the city. Ah, crap.
They're not talking about
need
trust
to do
every
more
other
stuff.
word. And it's like, and they actually spend time with consequences. Like a very common trope of CW is the end of the season is going to have this huge monumental thing. And then the very first episode, we're going to retcon the whole thing, looking at you, crazy ex-girlfriend. And it annoys the shit out of me. Like, I like it when whatever happened before influences the next season. Like, I think that's...
Flash is really good about that. Like,
Flash
they
is
blow
really good
shit
about
up at the end of every season, and the next season, they're like, uh-oh, we just created a new race of alien people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Good Place is really good at that.
Yeah, Good Place is very
Yeah.
good at that. And to this point, Arrow has been very bad at that. Like, very bad at that. And this season, they finally kind of understand that, no, people are watching season to season. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to start fresh every time.
Ollie was accused of being the Green Arrow for the 5th time, and this time he actually did go to jail.
Yeah. And it works. And there's characters from all the way back throughout the season who are in jail with him, who are mad at him for being in jail. And like it's a very entertaining show. I'm very excited to be enjoying it again. It's not Legends of Tomorrow quality, because nothing is. And except for Venture Brothers, of course. But, we'll get to that.
You like that show?
I really like that show.
All right, John, what have you been doing?
Good call.
Yeah.
Hulu is what I've been doing. I got a subscription, so I've been watching the stuff I've been meaning to watch but haven't because of that. So right now I've been watching The Amazing Adventures of Gumball. It's my favorite animated cartoon. And I've only seen like maybe a season's worth, but Hulu has all of it, and it's really funny. I've also been watching some anime I've been catching up with. Attack of Titan. Netflix only has like the first season, so the rest are on Hulu. And
Do you like that show?
I enjoy the violence.
That was so bleak.
Yeah, the premise, the kind of the concept of it, and the violence are what's keeping me. But I might run out of steam on that. We'll see. The first couple episodes of season 2 haven't been anything interesting.
I made it 3 episodes in and went, this is the most overhyped anime ever. I can't do it. And I quit.
I can see it. It was easier to binge on Netflix because I had it, and they just kept playing them after the other, and yeah, it was just easier to watch. And also, now that I have access to Hulu, I've queued up a bunch of other things, like Drunk History. I want to finish that. Or like I've seen a few, want to jump onto that. There's also a show that I've heard of called, let's see, what was it? It was about a
Venture
store.
Brothers. It was Venture Brothers?
No, there's like a store, and it's very like...
Is it Super?
Superstore?
Yeah, Superstore.
Is it Super?
Yeah. So that's in my queue. There's a lot of things in my queue now, and I have a year to watch them all before I stop.
Are you going through Chewie's IMDb page and watching all the things that she's worked on?
Oh my god.
It works out so
Start
well.
watching my Christmas movies. They're terrible.
We were just talking about those between
Are they on
shows.
Hulu?
Again,
Some of
we'll
them.
get to that at plugs at the end of
All
this.
right.
Okay.
I'll queue it up.
But watch My Santa. I'm in it.
Yeah, you are.
What?
Has Santa?
For my
No.
Where Have I Been Doing?
Yes.
I did watch the other movie, and I think I enjoyed it more than Emily did.
That takes nothing.
You mean you were never really here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you liked it a fraction,
Yeah,
you liked it more than
I
Emily
liked it 0%.
The other thing that we finally did was we finished watching American Horror Story Asylum. Did you talk
Nope.
about that?
I haven't yet, and we watched Apocalypse, not Asylum.
Apocalypse. Sorry. Not Asylum. Apocalypse. They start with A.
They do.
And I enjoyed it more than Brian did.
I thought it was one of the worst seasons they have.
he does not like it when they talk about who the next Supreme is. And I will admit, it does get annoying, and at some point I did wish that at least they would start listening to the Supremes or something. But other than that, I enjoy the characters from Coven, and it was nice to see them again. And it was just really interesting to see each one of the characters each one of the actors play a different character every season, but in this one, they had to play like 3 different characters at different times in the show, because they had to play ones that they were old and some that were new, and then da-da-da-da.
Oh.
And it was just really interesting. I just think it's an incredibly creative show, and it's interesting to see actors really be able to showcase their versatility so much. And I freaking loved, I forgot her hair, the Vaughn whatever girl, the receptionist that becomes the leader of the...
Sarah Paulson?
Yeah, but the character with the red hair that she plays.
And don't remember the names at all.
I just loved her outfits and her entire demeanor and how much she hated everyone. I thought it was amusing.
She was the best part of the whole season. Both characters that she played.
Oh, Sarah Paulson, I mean, that's why she's
that's
in
not
every
surprising.
season. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
She's amazing, yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah. Emily, what about you?
I watched on Netflix. I watched She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Ooh, Lauren's in that.
Oh,
She plays Scorpina.
oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a fun. I did watch She-Ra back in the day. I don't remember it very well. I just remember I feel like She-Ra was always kind of like He-Man's sidekick to some degree.
Sister.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She had her own show.
I know. I'm saying she doesn't exist without He-Man.
Right.
He is the center of the world, and she was just sort of off
They
to the
needed
side
a
doing.
girl-
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
They needed a girl toy to go along with the He-Man toy line.
So
I mean, you
but
could say
on-
they're both just pawns of Grayskull. But
True, but on the Netflix show, He-Man's not a thing. So it's all about and the whole premise of the show. There's only I only remember there being one male character. It's all women all the time. I think even the writers' room is all women, if I recall correctly. And the whole there's all these princesses, and that's where the power structure is. It's around princesses, but then there's also the bad guys are trying to destroy this beautiful community, and it's all about coming together because the princesses have their own little kingdoms or whatever they're called, princessdoms, and then She-Ra ends up trying to bring them, or Aurora tries to bring them all. Actually, it's not even her trying to bring them all together. She's helping her princess friend bring them all together to fight the bad guys as a unit. So they all have to get over their own petty stuff and join together. And there's some really great voice talent in it. I really enjoyed the Empire. It's also about female friendship and conflict that can cause when you want separate things and jealousy. But there's not about men. It's about career jealousy or about power. I just thought it was really, really good, and I enjoyed it very much.
I've been meaning to watch it.
How's the animation? Is it good?
I don't know very much about animation. Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem watching it. I don't know diddly shit about animation, so.
If it bothered you, they would say more.
It does not bother me.
Perfect. What about you, Tracy?
I just finished The Walking Dead, where we're at. I stopped it for a really long time and picked it up again. It's
That seems to be the general feeling towards Walking Dead right now.
It's one of those things that, to some extent, I love the time jump.
Yeah.
And I think that it happened too late, maybe. And the way that they wrapped up some characters were not very well. Primarily Maggie and Rick.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know, because I haven't read the comics, but we used to talk about the comics, Brian and I, at work. And I think I know where they're going. Should I talk about that?
Sure.
I don't know. So I think that because originally Negan was supposed to partner with Carl.
Yeah.
And they killed Carl off. And now it's been a couple of years, and you could see him kind of bonding with Jill, the daughter. It's not Jill. I can't remember her name though.
Sure.
Judith.
Judith. That one. I think that he's going to end up partnering with her instead.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that the using the zombie people.
The Whispers.
Yes.
I love the Whispers in the comic book.
It was a great turn, and I just think it's just too late.
I still think The Whispers was the natural ending point of that comic series,
Okay.
and it should have ended at the end of that.
That's when I stopped reading it.
Me too. I started the next arc. I'm like, it doesn't have the
Were
weight
they
The
the
Whispers
ones
had.
that wore the zombie
Yeah.
skin? Okay.
Because I think that's about as far as you can take zombies.
And they did a
Yeah,
good job, I
I
think,
can
on
see
the
that.
show with that moment. Because
Yes.
in the same time, in the comic book, you're like, what the fuck? The zombies are talking? And so they did it in the show, too. Like, they're hiding out, and suddenly you see the horde go by, and you hear them talking to each other, and you're like, what the fuck? If you didn't read the comic book, you'd be like, oh my god, the zombies are sentient. Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's
So-
either oh shit or like, well, this show's jumping the shark.
Yeah,
now.
totally.
Hey, Romero did it in his movies.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
works.
Land of the Dead, they got smart.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Day of the Dead they did first with Bub, the zombie who can use a gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That movie's awful. I love Romero, but Day of the Dead just does not work. It's just a guy in a bunker yelling at everyone for like 2 hours. I think we should get started. So Thoroughbreds, it did quite poorly in theaters. It was marketed horribly.
I'd never heard of it until you put it on.
I saw a trailer once, and then the movie got shelved for a long time because of the,
Yeah, it was the same.
incredibly unfortunate passing of Anton Yelchin, and they didn't want to capitalize on his death like a
Yeah.
lot of people do, which I think was the best thing about handling it. Like that is such a
It's very respectful.
it's very
Yeah.
respectful. I mean, yeah. But because it was shelved for so long, the marketing just kind of fell apart. And then eventually they had to release it in some fashion, and then it came out. And the only reason I wanted to see it was because I love Anya Taylor-Joy, and I think she's one of the biggest and best upcoming actors. I think, is it Olive or Olivia Cooke? I think she's great, and I love Anton Yelchin. So I'm like, all right, I like the cast enough just to see the movie, and I threw it on the calendar, and I didn't know anything about it, and now today we get to talk about it. The reviews were decent, not great, and I think that's pretty much fair.
It's in the 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe.
I never look at Rotten Tomatoes. I was looking at Metacritic, and I think it was in like the low 70s. And I'm like, okay, that's decent enough. I think that's pretty fair for where this movie was. But we'll get into it because I think there's a lot of mixed bag on it, and there's a lot to dig around. But before we do any of that, we have to do a breakdown. This week coming to you from Traci Ennes.
Tracy.
Do I do it? When do I do it now?
When I tell you.
Okay. I'm like, there was a video online.
Yeah, there's a camera being pointed at you now. When he says he's good, we're going to do this. You ready?
Yay.
All right, so here we go. Thoroughbreds in 30 seconds. Here we go.
2 teenage girls who come from wealthy families reveal their sociopathic growth and tendencies as they decide to kill one of their stepfathers. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll give you that. Oh, that was like 12 seconds.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, yeah.
I thought about it. I simmered
The
on it. for a
plot
little
really
bit.
isn't that complex.
No,
No.
it's really not.
No, this one's all about complexities in conversation.
I mean, I could try to
And
jazz it up a
Steadicam.
little bit
And
more.
steady. Oh, boy, the Steadicam.
They really love that Steadicam.
They like
I loved the Steadicam.
Steadicams and long shots. This movie is all about it.
I love it too.
Don't forget women's legs.
And women's legs.
And a really well lit house.
Really well lit house.
A really well lit, cold.
Very cold house.
All I could
that
think
house
of is
would be
cold.
freezing.
Yeah, it's marble. Their walls are marble. It's freezing in that house at every moment, and they're wearing short shorts
Those are
What
chili
is
legs.
with the short shorts?
the entire time.
It was very upsetting to me.
Preppy girls were
That's the only thing I was like, they're cold and
That's one thing I
Their
found
legs.
interesting is that I don't remember. Lily is the preppy girl's name. The other girl's name is
Amanda.
Amanda was. They kept putting her in frilly dresses, and I was like, that is an odd choice for her character. Is it because she was trying to assimilate, or
So,
wait, who was in
they
Lily
kept
was,
putting her in, like skater dresses? Amanda.
yeah.
or Amanda?
Yeah, I feel like she'd be the type of girl though that's like, I don't want to think about this dress.
She doesn't really care about anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I want to start with this movie. Is this movie it played a character trope, which happens a lot in movies, and I'm sure it happens in real life all the time too. I don't personally know any of these people, but somebody who is just completely void of emotion. They don't feel them. It just doesn't click. Usually sociopathic tendencies follow. And this movie didn't really ever lean into that. Like, they leaned into it with the fact that she killed her horse. And otherwise,
But she
was,
killed her horse out of compassion.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was really
That was the confusing part for me.
yeah. So the kickoff of this movie is that there is this girl who kind of creeps everybody out, and she did something to a horse. And as the movie goes on, you find out more and more like, oh, she really fucked up that horse. And it's strange because she says she feels nothing, but everything she does is motivated by feelings.
Exactly.
I think that was the point.
Yeah, I think so too. And
Because it's the other girl who ends up being the one who does the worst thing.
yeah. And I find that really, I think that's the strongest suit of the movie. I think that is
it's
what
the
it did the
Dexter
best.
problem, where it's like, you tell us you're a sociopath, you have no emotions, but you do all these things that don't make sense without it.
Yeah, and whereas Dexter, I saw it as like a huge flaw in the show that eventually made it to me completely unwatchable. This one, I found it kind of fascinating in a way. Whereas a lot of the movie, I don't think I'll ever rewatch Thoroughbreds. I thought it was entertaining enough to get through the one sitting, but I don't think I'll go back to it. But the character of Amanda was fascinating, specifically because of that. She is very, very honest at all times. Like, she lies when she has to, but for the most part, she's all about truth, because who cares? Yeah. If people get mad at the truth, that's on them. It's not on me. I'm the one who's telling the truth.
Right.
And I find that like it's a really interesting character because she keeps saying, "I have no emotions. I leave." Like, I think she's even quoted as saying, like, "I have a worthless life." Granted, those words were put in her mouth, but still, she agreed with it. And it's interesting that, like, if every single one of her actions is clearly motivated by emotion, like, there is so much more going on in her head, and we don't really explore it. I'm not sure if that's a problem or not, though.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, this movie is kind of teenager issues and daddy issues centric.
Yeah.
With Lily, her dad died for some reason we don't know. We found out it was in the 9th grade, and she hates her stepdad because he like embodies every aspect of a toxic masculinity. They just packed it into one guy, which made him almost like a cliche or a caricature of a human in my mind. And then you have Amanda. Her dad's not even mentioned. He's not present. He's not there when we go to her house. It's like she never had one. So that could be one of the things that could instigate her emotional problems, where she thinks she has no emotions, but she probably is super depressed, which can make you numb in a certain sense. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't go to the...
I listen to a serial killing podcast, and they talk a lot about like the in-depth profiles of people that are sociopaths, and she is very robotic in that way. And I think that we start the movie in her realization that she has no emotions, and that she has been kind of like...
I think she's known she has no emotions for a very long time.
She said she's only just now admitting it to herself.
Okay. So I think it was more of a subconscious thing, and she's grown to accept it at this point. Yeah. And so I think that with that acceptance came a lot of digging, and the confusing part to me or the interesting artistic part to me is watching her like in the mirror when she's kind of clearly trying to emulate Lily, or just different motives that she has, like we talked about, where it seems like things are motivated by feelings, but it doesn't. But she still is very robotic. Like, you don't feel it with her. You feel uncomfortable.
She's very logical.
Yes.
That very first smile that she does when she's wandering the mansion, and she looks at the mirror over and just kind of does a quick like dink dink like smile, and that was very interesting. And to what you said, a lot of her character reminds me of. I mean, very early on, if you've had any medicine for like depression or antidepressants and they have not worked well with you, sometimes you start to feel a shell of yourself. Mm-hmm. And so, like, maybe, I mean, my read on it is that it's more like trying to troubleshoot, like, where did they go? Like, do I have it? That. Do I still have it? Like, it always seemed like she was trying to find that thing. Like, there's a scene where she's standing out in the bushes, just looking at the bushes. That's something that's like, it looks pretty, but like, she's just standing there. It's just like, what do I do here? What do I do in this moment? Like, I can't feel anything. I can't feel grief or anger. It's like, what is this? I got to feel something. What is it?
Well, she talks about her therapist constantly trying to diagnose her. It's possible she's just been put on pill after pill after pill after pill, and the pills are actually making her worse.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And that's why I think, and we'll get more into the director on this one. I think he did a very good job, but there's a lot of stuff to me. He's a writer-director and a first-time writer-director, and I think there's a lot of stuff in there that feels very... I don't want to say film schooly because that feels like more of a dig than I mean it to be, but it feels very like... It does feel film school.
Yeah. And like, it's just a young man coming in and out the gate trying to tell a deep story about women.
Yeah, and the women part of it isn't the problem that I have with it. It's more like the they kind of feel like gotcha moments. Like it kind of feels like, all right, so the whole time you're expecting this one to be the sociopath and this one to do all the violent stuff. And look, I gotcha. It was the other one. And it's like,
and wouldn't it be cool if you don't see the murder and we just stay there? Like there are obvious choices to that.
Yeah,
and it's interesting that
it was for me it was story breaking because it was so blatantly shittily done. And we get none of the explanation of like any investigator that walked in there would have gone like, all right, so she has a pound of roofies in her stomach,
right.
and
this blood smeared on her.
This blood is obviously smeared on her arms. Like everything they did was just so shoddy at the end. And then she goes to jail, and even if she was I did it. It was me. Even if she admitted it through and through, there was zero chance that any investigator, like if you've ever listened to anything on murder, like fucking even Law and Order, you would know, no, this would never fly. And we're supposed to just go with it.
And I think that's where
I don't know. Have you seen Making
Well, you have the problem
they're
where
not going to test her for drugs.
But Lily has a history of having problems herself and has expressed incredible dislike of her stepdad. It's pretty obvious. I think everyone knows it, even her mother. And they're both in the house together, obviously, at the same time when this murder happens. There's no hiding that.
Yeah.
So whether or not they would convict Amanda for the murder, they would know that Lily was involved.
Yeah.
She would not get off scot-free.
They've also throughout the movie called her a problem child. They're like she's dropped out of school.
Yeah.
They're moving her to another one. Like they consider her a problem, even though the movie is
She
trying
would
to
at least
trick
be on
us into thinking she's
probation
not.
for
She
manslaughter.
also was
or something.
covered in blood and then put blood on her friend and then laid down in her friend's lap. There's
Yeah.
no way there's
Yeah.
not blood in her hair, guys.
But there was no wrap up though to say that she actually would never get caught. It seemed like it was still relatively close to when the murder happened.
See, I think by having the other one, she didn't look like she was in jail. She looked like she was in an institution.
Yeah.
But by having her there, I think it was pretty much implied. Nope, she got away with it. And I just
Because
feel like
there's definitely at least 6 months that have gone by.
yeah, and I feel like the movie did a really good job grounding it in this like reality that most of us will never experience because we're never gonna have more money than God and just spend it on marble walls. But they did a good job with it, and then just to completely abandon it at the end, just for a you didn't see this coming moment, it robbed it of what would have been a okay ending into just kind of a blech ending.
Also, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just don't think the movie was even really about that, though. It wasn't. I don't know. I guess I was fine with the ending being half-assed because it was more of like an art show installation.
Sure.
There was never really a full. I mean, yeah, there's an A-B, like there's 4 chapters, but like,
Yeah, why was it split into chapters?
Oh, the chapter thing was so film
so
school-y.
arbitrary.
Yeah.
it just wasn't. It wasn't something like I don't know. I got to the end of the movie and I was like, oh, yeah, that's about right.
It's sort of like this movie is kind of constructed with a sort of specificity you're told that you have to have in film school without any motivation to it. And the chapter divisions really bleed into it because there's not a distinct progression in each chapter in a specific, like there's no reason that this is a chapter other than this is the pause point.
Yeah, you
in
could
their DVD.
take out the chapter headings and nothing changes. Like literally nothing changes.
No.
It's like he saw a Tarantino movie and went, oh, I like it that he does that.
And the chat, like with those, there's like there's not linear storytelling to go with the chapter, so you're like there's all these decisions that with a lot of experience and just skill that Tarantino would do in those things.
Yeah.
And so that but in film school we can we look at it and just try to emulate it in sort of like a reverse engineering it when we don't really know why.
Totally.
What are you trying to say with this? Like compared to the last week's movie, where the decisions we might not have agreed with, but there were a lot of specific decisions in the movie that were asking you to approach the movie in a certain way, and they were communicating something. Nothing was being
It
communicated.
did have a clear point of view.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it had
Yeah.
a very clear point of view.
And this one, like I agree, like the chapters, I totally even forgot they were there because they were so meaningless. And it's like it's stuff like that where like the ending will bother me because like it's a pile on of like this is stuff that like if they'd have somebody else doing like a pass on the script or if they'd had like a stronger producer, this is stuff that should have been ironed out and not been like this is being touted as like a really. Like when it was going to come out originally, it was like an award thing and like push for like the new Anya Taylor-Joy, like get these really big people out there, and then to half-ass these things, like you just.
And it seemed like it's never more apparent than with Anton Yelchin's character because I like him as an actor, but there's every fabric of like his story and what he does in this movie doesn't make a lot of sense. He doesn't need to be in this other than just to showcase. Like, he is there as a prop.
Yeah.
And without motivation, like, they got him in there, and I don't know. He wasn't needed in this movie, even though I really enjoyed seeing him, and I miss him in the movies. But
that's the problem with this movie for me is, like, what was the purpose of anything?
Yeah.
It was very stylized. Everything was done to the letter of what his intentions were. It's a very well-crafted movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then, okay, so you have the girl with emotions, you have the girl without emotions, you have the deadbeat skeevy guy, you have the terrible stepdad, and you have the caring mother and the non-caring mother. They're all symbols. And
I think both.
then the
Yeah, I don't think it was Which one do you think is a non-caring mother?
the mom who just
Has the
ignores her
tannins one?
daughter and lets the guy send her to places.
Well, I think that's actually one thing I liked about the movie was the abuse that she was suffering. The mental
The
abuse
mom
was
was definitely
very
abusive.
subtle.
Everything was
It
abusive.
would have been really easy to make a movie where the stepdad was just like really violent and angry and constantly. Instead, he was putting her down all the time. Or when she was on the what do you call it? Sunbathing, and she said, "Oh, he likes me to have a lot of color."
Yeah.
It's little stuff like that. That is abuse as well.
Yes.
So yeah.
I get that she's abused, but she's a symbol in the movie. Like, to me, each character is a symbol, and I've been trying to figure out what they were trying to say, because the girls are also compared to horses. I mean, they're constantly it's called Thoroughbreds. They're talking about horses. They both rode horses. And the very ending of the movie is her having a dream about horses being wild. And she says they don't understand how expensive they are.
I wish we'd seen that dream instead of hearing her describe
and
it.
the entire time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, okay, I get what all these are, but I don't get what you're trying to say with it. What is the message of this movie?
For me, it's one of those things where, like, and I really don't like. I think he did a good job, and I'm excited to see what he does next. But for me, it's one of those. I think he should have just let go of the script and let a more seasoned director take a crack at it, because there's a lot of subtlety in there that we shouldn't be asking about. Like, I don't think that we should be like, so what was the point of this, or what was this? Because I feel like these answers should have been there and maybe are, and just not obvious.
I feel like it was one of those things where you look at a script and you're like, oh man, this is easy. Slam dunk script.
Yeah.
It looks great. I'm going to do this artistic stuff. It's going to be great. But what ends up happening is that he tried so hard to make things look so pretty or force so much feeling, like the music.
I actually loved the music. I thought the music was great.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? I don't know. I don't know if it's because my husband works in music or what. But at first, I heard the music in the beginning, and I was like, that's the first thing I wrote down. I was like, music is an interesting choice. And then I flashed back to a film school class, and I was like, motherfucker,
Make it hard, make it jarring.
Make it juxtaposed.
But and this is gonna be a common theme. But I enjoy discordant music. I mean, I enjoy Birdman, but what's the point? In Birdman, it's about theatrics, and how that all works together. This there's no point to the music being weird.
I think he was trying. He just missed the mark.
Yeah,
he was trying to make it juxtapose. Thank you.
Yep.
That word. He was trying to make it that way so that you would be like, oh, well, that's interesting. I feel uncomfortable with this music. It doesn't seem to fit. Something isn't right here.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was trying to. For me, the music worked in scenes with Lily, because I felt like they really expressed her inner violence more than her outer shell did, because she was always so prim and perfect with her makeup, her hair, and all that.
Amanda
but the music was hard and sharp.
Amanda got the same music too, so which didn't
right.
But I guess I didn't hear it
that
as much with her. I felt it more with Lily than I did with Amanda.
Well, especially because if that was the way that they were going to be foreshadowing that Lily will be the violent one, not Amanda, then Amanda shouldn't have the same cues. It should have been the exact. Whenever we have Amanda, we have soft, peaceful music. Whenever we have Lily, it's violent music.
Well, and I assumed that they did that because they were trying to confuse the audience by starting the music with Amanda walking through Lily's house.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work for me. I thought that it just tried too hard.
I agree, and I think it's a lot, because it shouldn't take you out. Music, in my opinion, should never take you out of a movie, and when it does, it's like.
There should be a point. If it's going to take you out of the music, it should be being like, hey, this is a point. This is something you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and
like
this
with
But that whole first act, or like the chapter 1 and leading into chapter 1, was painful for me.
yeah.
It was really rough. I almost wanted to stop watching.
I liked the conversations enough, and I love both actors so much. I think I can't wait to see what more else they do. Like, I'm annoyed that Anya Taylor-Joy got shackled to the M. Night Shyamalan train, because I think she's phenomenal.
It's just 2 movies. She's gonna do more.
Yeah,
than that.
I know, but still, I mean, I have
She's
to
done
watch
a lot
these
of other
shitty
things.
Shyamalan movies.
it's they're so good. Both of them are so good in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was such a joy to watch them do the thing that they were doing in this.
And it was like, I mentioned something about Anya Taylor-Joy, and I'm like, yeah, and then Olivia Cooke is great, and she was like, I don't know her from anything. I'm like, yeah, you do. Ready Player One, like a totally different character. Like, this girl is phenomenal.
I have a birthmark. I'm ugly.
That wasn't her fault.
I actually, overall, I did enjoy this movie. It's not perfect. It's not
Sure,
like going
yeah.
to top 10 list, but I kind of liked the film school camera work. I like the steady cam. I love a steady cam shot. And you know,
Oh no, I do love me some like long takes,
love
but
a long take with a steady cam.
But at the same-
and I liked how well lit it was. And
Well, he did everything fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah. And I do like that. I never got bored by this movie. That's the thing. It's like I was engaged and awake the
Yep.
whole time.
Yep.
Not like the previous movie where I wanted to smash my TV in 5 minutes. But
I think that's. I mean, for me, that's what I think what was missing is I didn't feel anything. I
feel
felt like
anything.
I was Amanda
Yeah.
after this. I was Amanda.
I was just like, are they gonna kill the dad? That's where I was.
Oh, they were
at
totally
the
gonna
time.
kill him.
I think maybe, I don't know, maybe this is too obvious, but I think maybe it would have been stronger if Lily had, because Lily, you're right, she looked prim and perfect, but she had been kicked out of school. So I think it would have been stronger maybe if Lily's motivation was to be perfect all the time. And she had to look perfect. And everyone thought she was giving to charity and doing all these nice things and being the perfect person. And then in the end, she turned out to be the psychopath and everyone blamed her friend. I don't know if that's too cliche to do it that way, but I think that would have at least made more sense, because it was a little confusing that Lily she appeared to be perfect, but actually behind the scenes, she was already making mistakes. So it's kind of like, what is her character supposed to be? Like, what is,
Yeah.
other than just her stepdad's a dick, I wanted more motivation from her. And if she was trying to be perfect and her stepdad was getting in the way of that perfection, or maybe he's pressuring her to be perfect, and that's the problem, she finally snaps. Something a little bit more from her would have made it, I think, a stronger
The questions
story.
we have for this are more like, well, we're asking for clarification.
Yeah.
Instead of like, what does this mean to you? It's more like, what are they saying? And the confusion is brought out of like just lack of specificity. Like, why does she want to kill her dad? Like, we get that he's a jerk, but that's because they tell us he's a jerk.
Well,
we get that.
Well, we
she's
see that
emotional.
he's a
No,
jerk.
he's a total dickbag.
Yeah, he is. But
He's a condescending. He just wants to control women, and he wants to get rid of the thing that is probably in the way of his utter domination of the house.
right.
Yeah.
But like to kill him, like I think I missed that. Like, what's that next step to make you want to kill him? Like, where's that? Like,
I
where's
don't know,
that?
because I
And
felt
he's also not her dad,
Yeah.
which can be a huge thing for a teenager in general.
okay, but I felt the point where he had the monologue in the kitchen with her, and he explains to her, like, don't you understand that we're not all just offshoots of your world?
Yeah.
Like, the decisions you make and the actions you make affect your mother, and I make these decisions to try and be supportive of her. Like, I know that was just kind of a one-off dialogue, but for me, that was the moment where I'm like, oh, fuck, I should not have kids. Like, it was...
They are selfish.
It's very... Their teenagers are self-involved and all-consuming, and that was the point where I was like, am I the wrong audience for this movie? Because I relate more to the parents.
Well, here's the thing: is I think in a stronger director's hands, again, not taking digs at you, if you happen to listen to this, but in a stronger director's hands, we would have been questioning: is he a dick? In that scene, we should have been going, "Holy fuck, have we been wrong? Like, is he actually just?"
I did.
I didn't though, because
I
it was so. Nothing was subtle. It was so obvious the whole
his
time.
behavior toward the wife was subtle. And
Yeah.
if his behavior toward the kid had been the same level of subtle,
Yeah.
of like everything he says makes absolute sense, but it sounds wrong, then you're right. That
Yeah.
would have worked a
Yeah.
little better.
Yeah, but he's blatantly an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
just blatantly. And then you have that whole...
He's not even manipulative. He's just very... That's why I was calling him kind of like a caricature, because
Yeah.
there's no hiding how much of an ass he
Yeah,
is.
like after he breaks his nose after she loosens the wheel on his thing, he is so just outright
And
mean.
but
Yeah.
I also would not have believed that. I think
Yeah.
that someone who rides their bike every day
would
he
notice.
would have noticed that
Yeah.
his wheel was jacked before he got on the bike. The second you get on the bike, he would have noticed.
You can
And
feel.
he's too much of a control freak to have not checked the bike.
Exactly.
In
and
my
that's,
mind.
And that's where I'm like, and that's where this movie falls apart for me. Is like the details were just off at every point they needed to be perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything else in the movie technically is so perfect. Even if they do things I don't like, I'm not a big fan of the long tracking shots. Like it's just not my taste.
It's
I'm not
too
saying,
much.
Yeah, and that's and if they work for you, great.
Never too much. I love tracking shots.
I like them sometimes, but like sometimes they just don't work for me. Like I feel like they have to be motivated, and I thought a lot of these weren't motivated.
And the
but they're
decision-
still
Yes.
done so well.
And that
Like everything
decision-
was done so well, but then you miss on the important stuff.
I
That's
think
where it
that I
feels
look
like-
forward to seeing this director's work.
Absolutely,
Because I think you could say less strong, but I think he actually is a very strong director. He's just not seasoned.
Yes.
Like he's-
that's what I mean by
he's-
strong.
yeah.
Sure, yeah.
He's going to do great things.
Hopefully,
but
His
this
name.
was-
We keep saying he. Do we know his name?
I know it's a guy.
Yeah, let me look back at
but
it.
I do think
it's Corey something.
one of those
Corey
situations-
Finley.
It's one of those situations where, like, he did the tracking shots, and that it was a great school study.
Yeah.
You know, it was a great learning experience. It was. I don't know if this is his first film. Did you say that?
The director, yes, not the
It's his
cinematographer.
first.
Cinematographer's
It's
done
the
some great
first
shit.
one listed on IMDb, but I would be hard pressed to assume that he hasn't actually done a feature on his own before that didn't have such a high budget.
So first studio film.
First studio film. I don't know what else he's done because IMDb isn't listing it, but he's definitely done other things.
Hire that Steadicam up though, because he was really good.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
the very end of the movie where they don't show the murder again. Very interesting, very good choices. Like I can't be like praising the last movie we talked about with making some similar choices with this, but like it's on its surface is a good choice. But like then you start to examine the details. She's just like drugged and asleep on the couch. I guess that is communicating that she's drugged, but it's pretty surface level. What else is in the frame communicating? If you're asking us to stay in this frame for a minute, 2 minutes,
Really long. It was
a really long time.
Yeah.
Push. They could have done it a little bit faster.
What do you want to say? Like, there's an episode of Haunting Hill House called Two Storms, and it's a long take, 18-minute long takes. The camera circles around everyone like storms. They're all in the eye of their own storms. There's that communication, and that's what it's about. And that all converges in the funeral parlor. And that's kind of the point of it. That's the point of the long take, and that's what's communicating. You're like, oh, I get it. Okay, cool. It's there, and it makes sense. But like, what? She's drugged, and like she's she's emotionless because she's like, what are you trying to
And
punctuate this
why
with?
did she still have to be drugged? If she explained to her that her drink was roofied, and I'm
she
like,
still did it.
yeah, it was like, why don't you just sit on the couch and stay awake?
Which makes me think it would have been maybe a more interesting scene. And after she realized she was drugged, she was like, "No, you can't do this." And then they had more of a confrontation instead of her just agreeing to do it. It made it really easy on Lily to make that decision instead of giving her the challenge of being like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" And then Lisa's
Yeah.
like, "I don't know if I can do it." And she's just like, "How dare you?" And then like maybe a conflict there instead of just, "Oh no, you've drugged me." Okay.
Or
You
mirror,
even
mirror
have,
that
like-
first scene, like where she's looking at the horse and caressing the horse's face. You cut to the knife, cut to the title card. Like you could do that again and be like, oh, this is just her friend doing this to her. She is the
Yeah.
thoroughbred that she's putting down because she's worthless. Like the horse. Like
yeah.
get that. Like what? That's the communication, right?
And I just felt Amanda was giving Lily a choice. She was like, "No, I'll take the roofie. Like you don't have to kill your stepdad.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna see if you go through with your plan."
Anything else we've missed in Thoroughbreds?
We didn't really talk about Anton Yelchin very much.
Fair point.
Well, I think I was trying to avoid it.
I don't want to.
Sad.
we shouldn't
He
avoid
was in
talking
the
about
movie.
it.
He was
I know.
in the movie. I don't need to focus on his passing, but we can talk about his character. And there's another thing in the movie that I wanted more of. Like you made
Yeah.
a very interesting character that could have had a big role in the movie, and then they just avoid that. And he just kind of is he's a side story for all of a few minutes.
I was really confused about what his purpose was exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was a hurdle. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hurdle for a thoroughbred. That's
Like the one that they placed in front of themselves.
yeah, and
Weirdly.
they had a really good plan of how they're going to get him to do it, and then he just didn't, and they're like,
and there
"Ah."
was no consequence.
Yeah, all right, well, I guess whatever. He got his gun back. Who cares?
Which is why he didn't think they would do it. So and they
Yeah,
didn't.
and like there's something that could have been done with his character. Like I feel like there's
I'm just curious if they ended up like if there was more that was done and they ended up cutting his character down due to his unexpected death.
it could be, but since they waited so long, I would guess they didn't. Like I feel like if this had come out right after he passed away, they would have done more for him.
Yeah.
But I feel like since they waited so long, I feel like this is probably what it was. I could be wrong.
I
but
mean, all of those scenes, like besides his very last scene, all of it was in the trailer.
That's true. Yeah. But I also think
he's also a symbol in a movie about symbols. He is not a thoroughbred.
No.
He is,
Trashy.
trash. He's a mutt. He's someone who thinks he's going to be great, but he has none of the tools to be great, and he doesn't know how to really execute. And they have all the tools. They have the perfection. They have the money. They have the resources. They have the skills. Like, this is the juxtaposition between the two.
And the thing that I really liked about his performance, and I mean, I loved him and everything, but in this one in particular, he did something that I hope I'm right, and there's obviously no way to find out, but whenever he talked about how big he was going to be in the future and how he was going to run things, he used Trump's hand movements. He did the same sort of thing that Trump does, and I find that fascinating. Like, if that was intentional and he just knew, because Trump wasn't president, obviously, but he was still a prominent figure because he's fucking Trump. But he always has the same sort of like the hands that kind of look like accordions, and when he was in the car describing how big he was going to be, his hand was doing the exact same accordion thing. I'm like, he's doing the exact same shit.
That's interesting. I didn't catch that.
I wonder if this movie, it would be a whole different movie, but I wonder if it would be better if it was from his perspective and these two girls approaching him to kill a stepdad might have been interesting. These two rich
I don't know,
girls,
that
you
movie's
know?
been done.
And he has daddy issues, too, because when they clonk him over the head, he's like, what am I going to say to my
I wanna
dad?
know more about that.
Yeah. And that's so maybe there was more and they had to cut it out because I mean he's such a good actor that it's like you just didn't do anything with him. Like you blatantly didn't do anything with him. Like you set him up, this is going to be a thing, never mind, not a thing. Moving on. And it's such a weird choice.
Yeah, I guess that's where that is why I was like, I feel like they had to have had more of him, and they cut him out for, I don't know if it was editorial purposes or personal purposes, but I don't know because he was in like 3 scenes.
But with a movie like this, especially one that trim, that doesn't really surprise me. Having a character like that who just kind of comes and goes, like that kind of feels like this sort of art housey world. But I think because you hired somebody as notable as Anton Yelchin, it was like, okay, so then he's going to be more.
Right.
I mean, I don't know where they were in filming, but it would make sense that they were still shooting when he died because, I mean, there's that scene where he does come to get the gun and they played the whole scene with the lights going on and off, which sounds like a really smart solution to when you don't have your actor and you have to show them doing something.
Also true.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm so I'm getting crazy about the point of not looking anything up about movies before I watch them because I've spoiled too many movies for myself in history. So I didn't look it up. So I honestly don't know. If we're wrong, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know. But that's all I really have to say on it. Anything else we've missed blatantly?
They did interesting things with size in my mind with this because like when she
Size or it's like size like sighing?
Size.
Okay.
Like the things that Raphael
how
uses?
big things are.
Size.
Because when a Lily is with her mother, they always frame it in a way where she is dominating.
Oh yeah.
She looked like she was a foot taller than her mom, which makes no sense. Even when they're sitting at the same table, and how her mom was very light. Like when we first meet her, she's literally being shown with light, and then we're at the spa. She's got her blonde hair and her robe, and Lily always has her very dark hair, very dark lipstick. She just kind of looks dark, especially with the way they would light her. It's
interesting. The mom has always kind of played not necessarily passive, but like dominated. Like no matter who she's talking
dominated
to.
by her daughter, or she's dominated by the dude. And they have one moment of like actual like caring towards her mom when she asks her, how long have you been in here? Like that's really the only moment in the movie where I feel like she has expressed concern towards another person. Because I don't even think that she ever expresses concern towards Amanda, more so just like in being intrigued, fascination.
That's it. We're gonna move into quotes. Quotes.
All right.
I have mine. It came really early in the movie, and
As most of my quotes did too.
It's funny because this movie's not a comedy, but there are moments that will literally make you laugh out loud. And there's a part where Amanda calls out Lily for never being honest with her. She's like, "You've never said anything honest to me," or like, "That was the first honest thing you've said to me forever." And Amanda just kind of looks at her and goes, "You're incredibly off-putting, and you kind of freak me out." And Lily just goes, "There you go."
Yeah.
My moment is the same but flipped. It's later on in the movie when Lily is very upset after getting grilled by her stepdad. And she asks Amanda, when my dad died in the 9th grade, did you use the technique? That's not the exact quote. And then I think that's when she wrote her off. The moment Amanda said, oh, yeah, I used a technique. Really good, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And then I think that's when Lily went, all right, I'm gonna frame you. I can get rid of you, too.
Yep.
The quote I've got is where she's chiding Lily and being, you can't hesitate. The only thing worse than being incompetent or being unkind or being evil is being indecisive.
Oh, that was my first quote.
And I think it speaks to also the production level of the movie too. As like a mini slide of a review, it's like, it doesn't matter how it works or if it doesn't work, don't be indecisive.
Mm-hmm. And I incredibly disagree with that. Because it's one of the things that has ruined Congress when they call people a flipper flopper. And like, people can change their minds. It's okay.
I do agree from a filmmaking standpoint. Directors, please don't be indecisive. Make a decision and stick to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my quote, when they're getting the tracking shot, when they're going in the little wine cellar, there's a lot of wine.
It's a nice wine cellar.
There's a nice wine cellar. And Amanda says, I don't even remember the context. I just really like the line. She says, there's nothing holy about a dick getting together with a vag to make a little dude.
Yeah, that was a good one, too. My second quote.
John.
John.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, it was a good one. Was the from Amanda, and she says, I have a perfectly healthy brain. It just doesn't contain feelings. And that doesn't necessarily make me a bad person. It just means I have to work a little harder than everyone else to be good. And I don't know. I liked that.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah. It was a solid quote.
It's a real foreshadowing quote.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Review system today, I think, is good. What I want to do, I'm not going to, because I'm not that mean, and I don't want to sit here for an hour while we all look up movies on our phones. It was going to be first-time directors. Yeah, that's why we're not doing that one. So I'm going to go with, this is going to be entirely subjective to everybody, movies that just missed the mark.
Ooh. Besides this one.
Actually, you would have found it easier to do the first time. I
got mine.
Go for it.
The Boy. It was an interesting horror film about a girl who needs to go babysit a doll. And you could have done so many things with that. And I was really into it for a while. Until you realized, no, there's no weird spirits. There's no demons. There's no, interesting things. It's just a lechy dude in a wall who moves the doll sometimes.
That somehow is getting a sequel?
And, yeah. And I was
coming out soon.
I ended up angry at the end of that movie because they had me. They had me for a while. I'm like, oh,
what
how is
idiot
this?
called it The Boy and not Wall-E?
Wow, you were all over him today.
I know.
But they totally missed the mark because they had so many interesting ideas and they shot it so well. And then it's just a lechy dude in a wall. I was so disappointed.
I am going to go with the most recent Tomb Raider. With Alicia Vikander in it, and it was a movie that's it's just borderline awesome. It's just video gamey enough to be fun. It's just campy enough to be fun, but they don't lean into anything enough. It should be a little bit more video gamey, but it's not. It should be a little bit more fun, but it's not. It should be a little more serious, a little bit more this, and everything they just kind of hint at and then back away. And it's if you just leaned into everything you're trying to do, you have a great video game movie. But instead, every time they walk up to the line, they take a step back, and then that's where they stop. And it's you're just almost there.
And that's why the first Tomb Raider is a better movie. They leaned into it hard.
They did more in Cradle of Life than they did in the first Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
In Cradle of Life, they just kind of went, fuck it.
Shots, and then take the shot.
Video games!
I have an answer. Thanks for giving me my answer last week. It's Ocean's 8. Which is a movie that really could have been better and was not. And had some good moments and had one thing you did not mention in the podcast was Cate Blanchett's pantsuits, which were fabulous. But the movie was just not there.
I think I might hop on that train and go with Lady Ghostbusters.
Okay.
I was really looking forward to it, and I thought that it was going to be kind of the Ghostbusters just done with women, and I felt like it just pushed too hard into the feminine aspect of it.
See, I
Feminist
disagree.
aspect.
yeah. There's a lot of things that of all the things that movie missed, I don't think that's one of them.
Yeah.
I think it was every woman wanted to be Venkman. Here's a female Venkman, followed by a female Venkman, and here's another femtle Venkman.
Yeah, I don't know. I
What do you
watched
think
the
if Ernie
original
Hudson was
Ghostbusters.
Venkman? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, we get it. Venkman's funny.
I don't know. Like it just kind of
There's maybe we do a second episode on that one because that
Maybe.
one there's always more to say afterwards.
True.
yeah.
After the hype.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hated it.
Last but not least.
The one I'm going with is Netflix's The Ritual, which is kind of a in the woods horror film about some guys celebrating their or kind of honoring their dead friend and then getting like waylaid by a bunch of scary shit. And it's good. It could have been great. It has like all these like trappings. It feels similarly shot to like The Witch, or it has like that kind of feel. It's got in the woods horror as like the Blair Witch kind of thing going, and it's got mythical creatures and things. It just has all these things that should be really great and is fine. And I think that's kind of where this is at too.
I think it's time for plugs. Plugs? Pluggity-plugs? Of course, as always, Venture Brothers podcast. Big fan of Venture Brothers over here. You should listen to our show about it.
Do you like that show?
It's a great show. I really like it. I highly recommend it. I also really like our podcast, and I think it's only gotten better as we've gone along. And now we're in season 3, and it's so
Listen
much
to
fun.
this podcast.
Yeah,
That's what
it's-
we're plugging.
Oh, God, it's so good.
I think 2 people from work joined this week.
Yay.
What?
Hi.
The podcast.
Oh, fun.
Hi guys.
Hi. And then, of course, Samwise, our other show under the ATH network. And again, Sam is fucking crushing it week to week. If you have any questions and advice, be sure to go on to our site and you can find all of our content info there. And just listen to the show. She does a great job. Like each week, it's how she's able to bullshit herself into these answers and not have them actually bullshit. I don't get it.
It's like a superpower because the advice is really good.
It's
and
legit advice.
It
and
connects perfectly to the movies.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. It should just be a spout of bullshit, and it's not. So
She knows those movies really
she
well.
really does. So I cannot recommend that show enough. More so than Venture Brothers on this one episode. But next week, it's back to Venture Brothers being the other one to listen to. But this week, it is Sam's birthday yesterday, so I'll throw her that one.
Yeah. We also have articles on our site that are also really good, really informative, and have cool points of view. And they're definitely worth reading.
I recently worked on a web series called Michael and Michael Are Gay that is coming out. It'll be out probably by the time this podcast comes out. I think you can find it on their YouTube channel, so just Google Michael and Michael Are Gay and it'll pop up. It is fabulous. If you enjoy shows about the LGBT community, that's good, but it crosses over. It is one of my favorite things I've ever worked on. It's really funny. And it's based on these 2 guys, Michael Feldman and Michael Rackless, are actually a married couple, and their names are Michael, and they both are very nebbishy. And so they decided to make an entire web series around that idea. So there are 2 guys named Michael, and they're a gay couple, and they get into antics because they're both kind of socially awkward. And things happen, and there's an episode where they go to Burning Man, and that's really funny. And there's an episode where they have, quote, dinner with the straights, which is really funny. And then there's an episode where they have a naked party. And I would like to just say one thing about that, though, in that my job that day was because we did a tracking shot looking at a lot of naked men. And my job was to prevent us from seeing the dance belts that they were wearing. And there are takes where there are no dance belts. The last 2 takes we did, you could not see any dance belts. And the editor used one where you can see like 5 of them. So I will have it known. I just wanted to know it's not my fault that you can see the dance belts because I pointed them out and then we did takes without them. And the editor was like, fuck you. I'm going to use this one where you can see everyone is wearing a fucking dance belt. So... I just wanted to point that out. But other than that, that's the only thing I was sitting there watching the screening going, no, and trying not to like let everyone know. I was not disappointed in the show. The show's great, but I was like, no. Anyway, but the show's fabulous. Michael and Michael Are Gay, highly recommend. It's really funny. They're short. There's only 3 episodes. Actually, there's 4 because they did a pilot, and then we shot 3 more.
Is it regular YouTube or YouTube Red or Plus, whatever they're calling it now?
I think it's regular YouTube.
Okay.
It hasn't come out yet, so
Sure.
I don't. But all their Kickstarter, Seed and Spark stuff, and their first episode were all just on regular YouTube. So I'm assuming that's where they'll drop this as well.
Cool. Chewie?
Watch Superstar.
I will. I can.
Watch it.
I
we
can
keep
do
getting
that.
we keep getting write-ups about how awesome our show is, and I'm just like, it is.
It is pretty awesome.
Thank you. We are dealing with socially conscious issues in a really hysterical way.
So, coming up soon, we have our Christmas episode, which I'm always excited to do. This year, we're going to do a little bit different. I think I'm going to go with the way that Chewie said that we should do it, and I think it was the right way, where we get to pick Lifetime or Hallmark Christmas movies. Did you want to gift them to people, or did you want to...
I thought we were going to do a roulette of some sort, where we can put it into a generator, and then it randomly assigns us one.
Perfect.
I love
So
it. I
that's
love
what
it.
we're going to do. We're going to pick at random. I'll even let Chewie pick it, because it's her idea. She'll get to pick 5 movies.
Oh,
and-
good, because I have
Yeah.
no idea
Yeah.
what movies are available.
I'm so
Oh, there's
inexperienced at
so
this.
many on Netflix and Hulu.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
So
Oh,
Chewie
yeah.
will pick
Netflix is pushing
5
it hard.
or 6 movies, and we will roulette this, and we will all defend one of these movies as if it was the best at the table, and it
I'm
will be a
excited
very
about
fun
this.
Christmas episode. And one of the ones on the table, because I will ask, and hopefully she will do it. I am in, which is awesome, because I'm in a movie on Hulu. Blink and you miss me, but I'm there.
And I production designed it.
Yeah.
But don't say which one it is. I want this to be a delicious surprise if I get it.
So that is coming up, as well as our Venture Brothers episode coming up for Christmas as well. So we have our Christmas episodes coming around, and I'm not sure if Sam's going to do one for Christmas, but I will ask her, and then we'll release it if she does. Perfect.
I like that little laugh. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, we will.
It's gonna happen.
I just have no idea if she's doing it. So thank you everyone for listening, and bye.
Bye.
Bye.